Hi everyone, welcome and thanks for visiting us during this session. My name is Stefan Jacobs. I am the sales engineer for Arctic Wolf here in Belgium. As you can imagine with my gray hair, I do have a couple of years experience in IT already. Most important I think for you to know is that we started Arctic Wolf here in Belgium 1 year ago. So together with my colleague Tom Hoogmartens, we are your sales contact person here. So any follow-up questions, please visit us at our booth. We will be happy to welcome you. So let me start during my presentation just to explain who we are and how we differentiate in the market and what is the added value for you as a customer using Arctic Wolf. As you can see here, we are on a mission to end cyber risk, and we are really persuaded that we will be able to do so if you have the right integrations within your environment. So let me start by putting up some numbers. I mean, this is something everyone knows already. I don't have to convince you about the rising threat that is out there. So losses are increasing. These are worldwide numbers, but this can easily be extrapolated to the Belgian market where the problematic is the same. So we are all looking at this for many years now, but what can we do to stop this trend? Is it because there are too less security companies out there? No, there are too much security companies out there. Is it because we are not spending enough on security tools? No, budgets are increasing year over year. So we have many tools, we are increasing the budget, but the problem is only getting worse. So what is the problem here? The problem, it's not a tooling problem. People have invested in next generation firewall, next generation endpoint, have invested in many, many tools which are protecting them well, but there is no one to look at it. There is no one to look at it with the right level of knowledge to understand what those tools are actually generating. And this is exactly where we will try to help you out. We are here to monitor your security infrastructure 24/7 and being able to help you and bring that security knowledge within your environment. So we think people need to switch from a tooling mindset to an operational mindset. It's not about the tools again, it's about the people. We need to have a unified view within your environment, not only looking on the endpoint or the network, but really broad visibility and being able to correlate events between the different points. We need to focus on outcomes. It needs to be service-driven. You need to have benefits from the services that you get and not just having a tool who is generating events to you. And then, of course, you need to be monitored 24/7. And 24/7 has a lot of different interpretations, I've understood nowadays. We have a team sitting in Frankfurt looking at the events 24/7, changing the teams one over the other, so there is a proper handover on the incident as well. I come to that a little bit later. So SOCs and SIEM have been here for a while. So what are the limitations? What are the challenges that you as a customer see when you use your own SIEM tool or when you use a SOC service externally? Well, first of all, they often have very limited visibility. So they are good at maybe at the networking side. They might be good at the endpoint side. They might not integrate all the cloud applications or the cloud infrastructure that you have. So they are always very narrowed, and there is no correlation between the different events that are getting in. Next to that, often those solutions or those services come with strong requirements. If you want to use our SOC services or our MDR services, then you need to use vendor A, B, and C, otherwise we could not deliver the service. This leads that before you can actually start the service, you need to migrate parts of your infrastructure, and you are also locked in to a certain vendor because you created a dependency between the underlying tooling and the service above of that. We also see that many organizations are operating at a too small scale. So, or it is 4 external guys delivering that service through a certain partner, or it's a very limited internal security team that is managing all that. So the scale is really something very important. Finally, SIEM tools, SOC services, they are very expensive in sense, but it's not only that, it's also the hidden cost. In many cases, you pay a certain amount at the beginning of the project, and then for each incident you pay, for each consultancy that they put on top you pay, for maybe each integrations you have to pay, so there are a lot of hidden costs there, and even the number of events of the amount of data that you can store are often also additional cost that comes on top of that. And then finally, in many cases, especially when you do it on yourself, you cannot be that reactive. You need to be able to react in a couple minutes when an incident occurs. So what are we offering here? We are offering actually broad visibility, and I will explain this in more detail. We have no requirements because we have an open, vendor-neutral approach, and we integrate with most security tools out there. We are operating at an international scale, going from America to EMEA to Australia. And there is no hidden cost. We have a very predictable licensing model, which I will explain later as well. And we can react in minutes. In minutes, we will be able not only to react, but to contain a certain problem. So who is Arctic Wolf? As I said here, we are 2,200 people around the world with one mission, ending the cyber risk at our customers. From those 2,200 people, more than 700 are security experts. Security experts which are sitting in the different SOC services or SOC centers that we have around the world. We have several ones in America. We have one for EMEA running on AWS with a SOC sitting in Frankfurt, where all the events are sending to. And we just opened Australia as well a couple months ago. So we have a very broad and worldwide visibility, which we will, of course, help you. Today, we have 5,700 customers running on it. I said that I started the business here at Arctic Wolf a year ago. Actually, the company exists for more than 13 years, but only active in the US, where we have more than 5,000 customers using that service. So 5,000 customers, this is generating a lot of events. So we are one of the biggest ingester of data on AWS. We have petabytes and trillions of events coming towards us on a weekly basis. And when we will talk later about AI and all the benefits that it can bring, AI is as good as the data is that you can ingest. And we are sitting on a fabulous amount of data. So what is the benefit here? Of course, if we detect something worldwide, let's say at a US customer, of course, we will then update our full infrastructure with new detection rules to make sure that people in Belgium are also protected against that new threat or that new detection module that we have discovered somewhere else. And when you know that more than 50% of the cyber incidents are still occurring in the US, we have a big intelligence that we can learn from there to protect the Belgium customers over here actually quite rapidly. So that worldwide network effect is for us really a differentiator, and there are different feeds of security intelligence, of course, going into there. So with that, we were also named as one of the leaders of the leader within the MDR IDC quadrant, which was released, I think, a couple of weeks ago, like a week ago. And here as well, we were praised for the visibility, the excellent visibility that we can bring, and also the security journey on which we are actually accompanying our customers through the way. I will explain it a little bit later. But we are actually very proud, of course, about this nomination. So what we do, we deliver an open XDR platform. And as I said, open means vendor neutral. We're going to try to integrate with as much as security tools out there. We can do this in different ways. We have written our own APIs. We can ingest data through syslog or other replication methods. And the goal is to, of course, have that broad visibility. We integrate with the endpoint products out there, CrowdStrike, Defender, whatever. We integrate with the network firewall technology. Cisco Umbrella is also an example of all the data we can ingest. And then, of course, we have the cloud part, which is also very important. We integrate with the Azure Defender, for example, within Azure. We do integrate with Entra ID. So we have a full broad coverage, not only on Azure, but also on AWS and Google. And then finally, we also have APIs where we will monitor the Office 365 environment, and we will see actually how the users are behaving into that Office 365. Last but not least, we will also continuously ingest all your Active Directory data from on-premise. The event viewer is constantly sent to us and gives us really a lot of interesting information. We can, for instance, detect that the user is multiple times changing a password one after the other. We can detect that users are connecting to different servers one after the other. All these are triggers where our SOC team will start looking at that. And then we can start correlating events between the different, I would say, integration points. And so this also gives a huge advantage. You don't have to invest in vendor A or B before you can start the service. If today you are happy with your current endpoint solution, but tomorrow you want to change to another, no problem. You can change all those infrastructure without having any impact on your service as well. And that brings a huge advantage. Imagine also in merger and acquisitions. If you are acquiring a new company, well, you can immediately integrate that company without having to put it on your own standards. And it gives really a lot of flexibility. So how does it work? We have a platform, a SaaS application running on AWS, which we have copy over everywhere in the world. For EMEA, it is running on AWS in Frankfurt, where we also have our SOC team sitting there 24/7, looking at all the events that are getting in. We try to integrate, as I explained before, with all the different components that customers might have in their environment, and it's our wish to ingest as much as data as we can. So I said we want to ingest as much data as we can, but we will not license you based on that. Our licensing model is predictive. Everything that I'm telling here is always a license based on the number of users and the number of servers that you have in your company. And this is what is evaluated year after year, actually, to renew the service. That makes it very predictable for you, and whatever changes occur into the environment, it never has an impact on your licensing model, and that's quite important. So as I said, all this data is constantly fed to our open XDR platform, but the way customers are interacting with us is through what we call the concierge delivery model. I think most of you know a concierge is sitting behind a building. You can ask him all those questions. As a customer, you have two fixed contact points within the SOC, which you can always interact with. Those guys will take you on what we call a security journey and will make sure that your infrastructure is also improving over time. I will explain that afterwards. So through that model, you can call us, you can email us, you can send us via chat. So there is really a personal approach here. Who wants to talk to a chatbot when they have a security incident? No one. We really believe that security is a people business because you want to interact with the people who understand the urgency and the problem which you are dealing with. And that's exactly what the concierge delivery model is. That's a person that is hearing you, a person that knows your environment and that can guide you through the different steps. So what happens when we detect something? When we detect something, all those events are correlated. Detection rules are actually kicking off on the different data. If it's something important, a SOC engineer starts looking at that. He will then, based on the criticality, issue an incident towards you via the SaaS application, or they will call you. We always said, when the SOC calls you, make sure to respond. But what can we do during weekends or overnight? There we have a lot of automatic rules that will make sure that the laptop is contained, that a user is disabled, or that a firewall rule is adopted to make sure that the problem is immediately contained in minutes, and you as a customer have the time to arrive at the office and to take, based on the procedure that we will give you, the guided remediation steps to recover it. Everything what I explained so far is what we mean by managed detection and response. That's a service based on the number of users and the number of servers that you have in your environment. We do have a component managed risk. Managed risk is vulnerability management. What sets us apart? We will scan vulnerabilities based on the agent that we deploy on your endpoint. We will scan your internal network of vulnerabilities as well. And out of the platform, we will periodically scan your external network as well. As a result, thousands of critical vulnerabilities. This is the role of the concierge security engineers to guide you. What is important? Which one should you prioritize and patch first, and which one you don't have to care of? That's again the advantage of the service. They will guide you, they will set priorities to you and make sure you understand which vulnerabilities are the most important for your environment. And then next to that, we also have managed security awareness solutions. That's of course making sure that the end users are getting aware about the latest or everything around security. And last but not least, we have a team of incident response engineers, which are here when the shit hit the fans. 100% coverage doesn't exist. If you are really getting downtime and hit hard, we have an incident response team which is ready to bring your business up and running again. The advantage, that team will reinforce the concierge teams who knows your environment. They know your environment and they have the expertise to recover you online. And then of course we partner with different partners who can come on site and actually being the hands on the keyboards. And we have all the procedure in place. We are managing 600 incident response cases a year. I mean, in 30% of all of them, it's always the same issue that they need to solve. So there is a lot of expertise here, and we start with knowledge of your environment, which is also quite important. So we said we believe security is a people business. So you will be confronted with a lot of different teams when dealing with Arctic Wolf. You will have an onboarding team, you will have a sales team, you will have a SOC team, and you will have a concierge team. The SOC team, that's the team who will monitor 24/7 your environment. Those guys are actually handing over the cases from one to the other. Those are the ones sitting in the SOC and really looking at what is happening as customers. And then you have the strategic approach. Then you have your concierge engineers. These are the two assigned guys that are there during the business hours to answer your questions, but also to take you on a security journey. We will have a lot of data about you. We will have all the inventory data. We will have a lot of visibility. This will allow us to audit your environment on different aspects. We call these spiders, security posture in-depth reviews. Those are reviews, we have hundreds of them, where you can choose which one is important for you. Do you want to review your external visibility? Do you want to review your firewall configuration, your endpoint configuration, all by an independent actor? Well, these are the spiders that you can choose of. The pace at which this happened is defined in bundles that we sell. It's a core bundle, premium bundle, etc., depending on the time that you also can invest in working with us. And this is all driven by the concierge security engineers. And of course, imagine that there is a huge, what we call an emerging threat, a mega event happening there with a big vulnerability in one of the vendors out there. Then we will put actually a detour notifying you about the fact that you are vulnerable to us and giving you all the information in order to patch that vulnerability as quick as you can so that the bad actors cannot address you. And as I said, all this, it's all included in the predictable licensing model. You don't have to pay extra for this. I'm gonna end the presentation with a small example. Let me first do a small recap. So we will integrate with the different endpoints, networking, clouds, and identity solutions that you have, and we will continually ingest all that data. We will do this on different ways. In most of them, we have created native APIs which will ingest the data. We can do this through syslogging and Xlog forwarding, S3 bucket replication, etc. This is all sent to us in real time, continuously to your secure bucket in Frankfurt on AWS. The data that is interesting for us will be parsed, meaning we will ingest all that data, we will put this in a database, we will make sure we can make correlations, and we will have our own detection rules on it that will alarm the triage team that there is something suspicious happening in your environment. There will be no incident that goes automatically to you based on automatic discovery. There is always a person making the decision, okay, this is something the customer needs to look at. Doing so, we have actually no false positives at all. All incidents that come through are the ones that might be important for you. It can be informative. A new administrator has been created, for example. A user is logging in out of Singapore. All those events will come to you as well. To the most critical ones, there is a ransomware happening somewhere, or there is something else happening on your firewall where you need a critical attention. And so the triage team will do the filtering, and then those incidents comes to you. Again, automatic rules configured during onboarding, an escalation path. If you tell us you can contain laptops, you can contain servers, you can contain users, the SOC team, when they detect something, can immediately contain or block something from happening and notifying you afterwards. And you have then your portal in which you have all the information for you, the guided steps that you need to take in order to solve a certain incident. So here is a concrete example. This is something everyone wants to be protected for, right? Typically, during night or out of office hours, we start seeing several events happening and several information sent to us through the agent on Active Directory, the sensor agent, the EDR client which we are monitoring. And so we see some suspicious activity happening there. This is the trigger for the SOC team to start looking at it. And actually, a couple minutes later, the SOC can initiate a containment of that laptop. And so very important, we have an SLO of less than 30 minutes to address any critical event happening into your environment. So within 20 minutes, this kind of ransomware attack will be blocked. And of course, the impact that it has created will be very narrow to 1 or 2 devices. And this is actually, I think, the nicest example of what we can offer. And then, of course, there is the security journey that kicks in. Your security concierge engineers will actually look at the case, what happened here, and what can we do to prevent this from happening again. So you get some recommendations, enabling MFA, geofencing firewall, to make sure that this kind of stuff could not happen again. And then the circle is actually completely round. We detected, we responded, and we instructed you how to make sure it doesn't happen again. So with that, actually concludes the presentation that I prepared for you. Opening for questions, or you can visit us at the booth and having a more in-depth discussion about your own environment. Thank you very much.